Okay, guys, Primal Season 3, Episode 5, The Dead Cast No Shadow. And that title is so appropriate for this episode because the way Fang was just gnarling and growling and getting all aggressive towards Spear seemed like she didn't trust him or even recognize him. But fortunately for Spear, or Zombie Spear, I should always clarify, Mira recognized her unborn baby's father. She recognized him right away, and it was very heartwarming. It was very touching to see Mira try to connect with Spear, even this zombie Spear, because she recognized him from the jump. And it goes to show you that they really had a true love connection. And I love throughout this episode, even though Mira kind of gets a little apprehensive and a little bit disappointed when she's trying to communicate to him, but he's not really responding well, she still gives him a chance. And those little smirks and the way she was just like responding to any type of communication that he tried to give to her, it was so beautiful to see. And they really had like a true love connection. And I love to see it. Now, this episode of Primal did have some action towards the middle and the end of the episode, but for the most part, I would have to say they took things a little slower because it was like the first meeting of Zombie Spear and Fang and Mira, so they did want to take their time with it and let us breathe and kind of feel the connection between all the characters. And like I said, Mira knew who he was from the very beginning. She recognized him. But Fang, being an animal, is kind of apprehensive towards Zombie Spear because she smells death on him. And this episode was basically two things for me. It was Mira trying to connect and communicate with Spear and trying to get him to understand, hey, I'm pregnant. Hey, listen, I'm here for you. And let's talk about things. I'm Mira. She kept repeating Mira, like she used to do when she first met him. She kept trying to communicate with him, but all he could do was growl and roar at her. And it was a little bit heartbreaking to see the fact that he couldn't communicate properly. And ultimately, it just feels sad to watch Zombie Spear not only rotting, but just unable to get the words out to communicate to these people that he loves that, hey, I'm here. Because I think he's still trying to regain his memories. But that was one part of the episode. And then the other part of the episode was heavily focused on Fang versus Spear. I mean, they almost got into like a knockout fight. It's almost like the first time they met when they had like, tension with each other because they just didn't trust each other. And then as they got closer, they still had this competitive edge, because they are friends. They're best friends. But, sometimes best friends compete with each other in a healthy way. And that's the kind of vibe I got, especially when they were chasing the boar or the tapir. I also want to clarify, in my last episode review, I did mention that beast, those creatures, they were kidnapping the villagers and just causing chaos and wreaking havoc for their big mother. I mentioned that they were like wolf-like creatures, and I want to thank everybody that corrected me, actually. And those creatures were actually meant to be more demon pigs, like some creatures from like mythology or like way back in the past. They were creatures that resembled those creatures. And there was a little bit of discourse online about that because, some people are saying, well, no, they're more like... So it was a little bit of discourse, but I did want to correct myself. They're not wolves. They weren't wolves. They were closer to these demon. But anyway, going back to this episode, just seeing how Spear and Fang just kept growling at each other. I got goosebumps a little bit. I can't lie to you. It did feel a little epic, and I did want to see them kind of duke it out. Even watching Spear push Fang to the ground. It was so epic. And I don't want to see them fight to the death. And I'm really worried that we might go to that levels of extreme because Genndy just likes to go there sometimes. He might have them fight to the death, even though Spear's already dead. So it's not going to really be a fight to the death unless Spear kills Fang, which would be absolutely ridiculous. No one wants to see that. I really hope they don't go that route. I mean, Spear has suffered enough. Fang, well, I guess we know Fang survives because at the ending of season 2, we see Fang with her kids and we see Mira and her baby. So, and this is like taking place in between the ending of season 2. So I do think that we kind of know what's going to happen in terms of Mira and the baby and Fang and her children. For the most part, they could throw in a little curveball in there, but I don't know if that kind of breaks the suspense, because in this episode we had Mira being tossed around by these baboons that were kidnapping her to feed her to their babies. But it does a little bit for me kind of kill a lot of the suspense, because we know that Mira's going to live, we know the baby is going to live, and we know Fang and her children are going to live, just based off the ending of season 2. But then again, like I said, there could be a curveball thrown in there. The only thing we don't know is what happens to Spear. We don't know what happens to Spear, so we still have to find out what's going to go on with that. But also, it was sad to see those two characters that were putting on the characters that were creating like this hex to get rid of the bad juju from being around this zombie spear. They kind of get torn up in this episode by the baboons that attack them, and you know how that goes. I mean, Primal is definitely not afraid to go there. They're not afraid to introduce you to a character or characters and build a little bit of a connection or a liking to them, and then just wipe them out, wipe them from the planet. So shout out to those guys, but they're gone. All of Mira's group at this point is gone, but she's still hunting for the rest of her village, and she's gonna find them. We know she's gonna find them. She has to save them. I just wonder what's gonna happen in the major fight now that Spear's here, and we have Fang and her babies, and we have Mira. Even though she's pregnant, she's still ready to go, So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, like I said, it was a pretty chill episode. Besides the fact that the baboons attacked and killed the rest of Mira's group, it was really just for us to get to know Zombie Spear and Fang and Mira, just connecting now that Spear is dead and rotting. And it was a very heartwarming scene when the babies kind of go up to Spear and hug him and give him that affirmation. And the only one left, the only one that's hold out, is Fang. Fang needs to get over it, and she needs to realize that this is your friend here, your best friend, your boy. You need to love him again. But we'll see what happens with that. Anyway, if you like this video, like the video, leave a comment telling me what you think is going to happen in the next episode. What did you think about this episode being a lot more slow paced and just letting the characters breathe and letting them rebuild the connection? Did you enjoy it as much as I did? Do you prefer more action-packed episodes? I'll see you again, as always, for the next Primal episode review or any other Primal videos I decide to make. Subscribe to keep in touch, and give me your thoughts in the comments below. Take care, guys.